You think the worst pain is being betrayed. It is not. The real agony is kissing lips that have just touched another man, holding a body that no longer belongs to you, and not even knowing it. Many men convince themselves that her distance is just stress or age or routine. The truth is harsher. People rarely confess, yet they always reveal. And if you miss the signals, you become the quiet accomplice of your own humiliation. That is why today I am about to reveal 8 signs that give away a woman who has just slept with someone else. These are signs most men ignore until it is too late. And the last one is the nail in the coffin, the one she cannot hide, no matter how hard she tries. I am Dr. Fiona Grey, a sexologist and men's health expert. My work is helping men protect their health, their confidence, and their dignity in the most important parts of life. I will walk you through these 8 signs with a calm, clinical lens, so you can stop doubting yourself and start trusting what your senses have already noticed. Before I guide you through the 8 signs, take a second to subscribe and tap like, and tell me in the comments which city you are watching from. I want to see how far this message is reaching, because betrayal speaks the same language no matter where you live. Now, let us return to the story. The first sign is subtle and silent, and it quietly breaks more men than they realize. Number 1, the cold silence of her body. There is a kind of silence that does not come from words. It comes from the body. When you have been with a woman long enough, you know that silence. You know when her touch has weight, when her kiss has warmth, when her body reaches for you without you asking. You also know when that current goes dead. This sign is difficult to face because it does not shout. It whispers. You lean in to kiss her, and she turns her face slightly. You touch her shoulder in bed, and she stiffens instead of melting. She says she is tired, but her body is not heavy with exhaustion. It is heavy with indifference. That difference matters, because tiredness recovers with sleep. Indifference does not. Here is the part most men do not want to admit. When a woman has been fulfilled by someone else, she does not return to you hungry. She returns satisfied, and satisfaction leaves no space for you. Imagine trying to light a fire that has already burned itself out. No matter how many matches you strike, the wood stays cold. That is what it feels like when her body has already offered itself elsewhere. The common mistake here is denial. You tell yourself it is just stress or age or the natural fade of long relationships. No, attraction does not die of old age. It dies when it moves to another source. If she used to pull you close after work but now rolls away, that is not routine. That is a signal. What do you do with this knowledge? You do not beg. You do not push harder. You observe and you test. Instead of chasing, you pull back. You watch whether the distance shrinks on its own or widens even more. A woman who still desires you will eventually reach out again. A woman who has given herself to someone else will let the silence deepen. Your job is not to force her body to respond. Your job is to recognize when the response is gone. That recognition is painful, but it is also liberating. When you stop lying to yourself, you stop wasting energy on a flame that someone else already put out. And if the body no longer speaks to you, do not think the truth will hide. If her skin has gone silent, her habits will begin to shout. If you do not see it in her touch, you will smell it in her rituals. Number 2, the cleansing ritual. When a woman has been intimate with another man, she does not walk through your door carrying the scent of betrayal. She walks in smelling very fresh, a little too fresh. There is a new perfume that was not there before. There is a shower that lasted longer than usual. There are clothes changed for no clear reason. Underwear swapped in a way that does not match the rhythm of the day. On the surface, it looks like self-care. In reality, it can be a cover-up. This is the erasing ritual. She is not only cleaning her body, she is trying to clean her conscience. Many men miss it because they want to miss it. You tell yourself she likes to feel fresh, or she is testing a new scent. That is how you gaslight yourself, because you do not want to face the darker possibility that she is removing another man's traces before you notice. Here is how it works. People know their bodies tell stories. Skin holds scent. Hair carries traces. Clothing remembers contact. So she scrubs and sprays and hides the evidence under lavender and soap. The paradox is that the more she tries to erase, the louder it becomes. A sudden preoccupation with hygiene is rarely random. It is a shift. Let me be clear. Every long shower does not equal betrayal. The point is change. If she never rushed to the bathroom after work, but suddenly does, if she begins guarding her laundry like it is private property, you pay attention. Psychology is not about absolutes. It is about patterns that deviate from what was normal with you. What is the move? You stop excusing the inexcusable. You do not laugh it off. You do not congratulate yourself because at least she is taking care of herself. You observe and connect the dots. If this ritual repeats, if it arrives with that too perfect smile afterward, you know what is happening. Men often ignore their nose and their gut. You smell the new perfume, but call it a pleasant fragrance instead of a disguise. You notice the over-cleanliness, but label it personal growth. That is how you become an accomplice to your own replacement. The solution is awareness. When the pattern appears, do not confront with rage. Acknowledge with clarity. You do not need to accuse. You need to see. Once you see, you cannot unsee. That clarity changes how you show up. Hygiene is only the surface. Underneath, the game moves to emotion, and guilt has a way of spilling sideways. Number 3, the blame game and unjustified irritation. When guilt becomes too heavy to carry, it is rarely confessed. It is transferred. Suddenly, you are the problem. You walk in, and instead of a hello, you receive a complaint. You loaded the dishwasher wrong. You are too quiet. You are too talkative. Whatever you do, it is not enough. That irritation is not random. It is strategy. Here is the psychology. If she paints you as the villain, she does not have to feel like the betrayer. She rewrites the story. In that version, she did not step outside the relationship because she wanted to. She did it because you were inattentive, or controlling, or boring. That is projection at its sharpest. She cannot settle the conflict inside, so she pushes it onto you. The trap most men fall into is defending themselves. You explain and argue, believing that logic will fix it. You cannot out-logic guilt. The more you defend, the more ammunition she gains to keep painting you as the bad guy. Soon, you are walking on eggshells in your own home. Here is the shift. Stop playing defense. You do not need to win the argument. You need to win your dignity. The next time she snaps over something trivial, do not take the bait. Do not beg. Do not debate. Look her in the eye and say calmly, "You do not need to fight to justify what you have already decided." Then step back, not from weakness, but from strength. You are signaling that you see the tactic and you will not dance to it. That one move flips the dynamic. When you refuse the role she wrote for you, her script collapses. The weight of guilt returns to its owner. And you reclaim your emotional ground. Men ask whether staying quiet is weak. It is not. Weakness is allowing someone to bait you into chaos. Strength is self-control. You are not ignoring the issue. You are refusing to be manipulated by it. That is the difference between a man who is drained and a man who stands tall. Projection is powerful, but it is not the final mask. There is another arena where truth appears without a word, and it lives in the body itself. Number 4, the body does not lie. A woman can rehearse excuses. She can smooth her moods. She can polish a story until it sounds convincing. There is one place she cannot control: the body. This is where many men betray themselves, not because they cannot see, but because they refuse to look. You know her rhythms, her warmth, her reactions. When something changes, you feel it even if you do not want to admit it. Perhaps she feels unusually tense or unusually relaxed. Perhaps her responsiveness has shifted, either exaggerated or strangely absent. Sometimes it is subtle. Sometimes it is stark. It is never random. Here is the cruel part. You do not need a medical degree to notice. You need honesty. Men explain it away. Maybe it is hormones. Maybe it is stress. Those things happen. When the shift is sudden and does not fit her usual pattern, you owe it to yourself to pay attention. Ignoring what your senses have already detected is the fastest way to humiliate yourself. Pretending everything is fine does not save the relationship. It postpones the collapse. A body that has been with another man carries an imprint, not always visible but always felt. When you sense it and force yourself to stay quiet, you are lying to yourself more than she is lying to you. What do? You stop running from your intuition. If something feels off, do not shove it down. Let yourself register it. Then stop overcompensating. Many men respond by trying harder. More affection, more patience, more effort in bed, as if generous effort will reclaim what has already been given away. It will not. You do not win desire back by throwing effort at it. You win by recognizing when it is gone. A practical step is to step into clarity rather than chase. If intimacy feels wrong, scale back and observe. Do not accuse. Do not interrogate. Notice how consistent the change is. Awareness is your shield. It prevents deeper investment in someone who is already detached. If you ignore your senses, you are not strong. You are scared. Strength is not denial. Strength is facing what you already know, even when it burns. Guilt does not always appear as coldness. Sometimes, to plaster over the cracks, she moves in the opposite direction. She turns warm, affectionate, even tender in a way that feels too good to be true. Often, that is exactly what it is. Number 5. Excessive affection and the theater of guilt. Not every betrayal looks cold. Sometimes it arrives wrapped in kisses, hugs, and sudden sweetness. If you are not alert, you will mistake guilt for love. It is a cruel trick because it plays on hope. You have felt her slipping away. You have sensed the silence. Then she is holding your hand again, kissing your cheek, whispering, "I love you," with watery eyes, and your heart wants to believe it is real. You think she is coming back to you. She is trying to come back to herself. The affection is not for you. It is for her conscience. After crossing a line, many women do not pull away. They pull closer, not because desire has returned, but because they need to quiet guilt. Touching you, cooking for you, saying kind words. It is part of a performance. The performance is not designed to nourish you. It is designed to keep her from drowning in self-disgust. The mistake men make is treating this affection as a second chance. You drop your guard. You stop observing. You breathe a sigh of relief. You lose all leverage. You become the comfort object, the safe harbor she clings to, while passion burns somewhere else. You hold her guilt rather than her love. What is the move? You learn to test the source. Ask yourself whether this affection arrives with consistency or only in waves after unexplained absences. Ask whether she touches you with desire or obligation. Ask whether it feels warm or rehearsed, almost exaggerated. Those questions cut through fog. Here is the medicine. Do not reward guilty affection. Do not let her wipe her conscience on your shoulders. You do not need hugs born from betrayal. You need honesty, even if it is cold. Sometimes the strongest sentence you can say is this: I would rather have your silence than your guilty embrace. That sentence is for you. It is how you reclaim self-respect in the face of false tenderness. Love does not need theater. Real connection does not appear only after guilt. If her affection feels like apology rather than desire, you already know what it is. Once you know, you cannot go back to pretending. If you keep accepting her guilty embrace, the next stage is worse. She will not only be absent emotionally, she will remain physically present while her mind drifts miles away. Number 6, emotional absence in intimacy. There is a difference between a body beside you and a soul with you. Once you know that difference, you cannot unknow it. This stage cuts deepest, not because of what she does, but because of what she withholds. She gives you her body, but she no longer gives you herself. Picture a night that looks normal. She touches you. She moves. She even makes the familiar sounds. On the surface, it is all there. Something is missing. Her eyes are empty. Her energy does not synchronize. You can feel she is somewhere else, replaying a scene that does not include you. That is not intimacy. That is theater. A woman who is emotionally absent during intimacy is already gone. You are not making love. You are acting in a cover-up. Men who ignore this tell themselves a comforting story. She is tired. It is stress. Tiredness still allows presence. Stress still allows connection. This is a void. The common mistake is pushing harder. You think if I try more, she will come back. You give more affection and patience and effort, hoping to win her over. The more you push, the further she drifts, because her fire is not missing. It is burning somewhere else. Every extra ounce of effort teaches her one lesson. She does not need to give anything back. The solution is to stop chasing ghosts. Respect yourself enough to notice when her soul is not with you. Pull back. Speak less. Most of all, do not confuse physical participation with emotional presence. When her spirit has left, your job is not to drag it back. Your job is to decide whether you will keep lying in a bed that grows colder each night. A simple step is to pause when you sense the absence. Do not cover it with effort. Look at her and tell yourself the truth. I am not here to beg for connection. I am here to recognize reality. That mental shift changes everything. It prevents you from becoming the man who tries to revive a bond that has already been buried. Lying next to a woman who is not truly with you is not love. It is humiliation. If you allow that humiliation to settle, the next sign exposes it in daylight. She will not only leave you emotionally absent at night, she will begin leaving you physically absent in time. Number 7, late returns and empty excuses. When love is alive, time bends to make room for it. A woman who still desires you finds her way back to you, even on busy days. When her fire is gone, the clock turns against you. She is late again and again, and each excuse feels thinner than the last. Work ran long. The phone died. A friend needed help. At first you want to believe. You tell yourself life gets messy. Life does get messy. When messy becomes a pattern, when lateness becomes routine, this is not about life. It is about priority, and you are no longer at the top of the list. Lateness is more than missing minutes. It is a test. She is not only running late, she is measuring what you will tolerate. She watches whether you question it, whether you push back, or whether you keep accepting less while hoping for more. Every time you let it slide, you train her. You teach that your dignity is negotiable. The common trap is silence. You see the inconsistency, feel the sting, and swallow it. You tell yourself that speaking up will look insecure. Asking for respect is not insecurity. Pretending you do not notice is. What do? You call it what it is. without yelling and without begging, with boundaries. The next time she drifts in late with another thin story, do not interrogate. Do not demand a timeline. Look at her and state the truth. You were not here, and that tells me everything I need to know. Then let the silence sit. That silence is more powerful than argument, because it places responsibility back on her choices. A practical step is to track the pattern, not the excuse. Do not waste energy dissecting every tale. Watch frequency, tone, and your body's reaction each time. Patterns tell the truth when words do not. The harsh reality is that a woman who still chooses you comes home. Maybe late once in a while, yes, but not as a habit. If she no longer returns to you, it is because she is already returning to someone else. Lateness is only half the story. Even when she tries to mask it, her own words will betray her. When her story begins to fold under its contradictions, the truth breaks open. Number 8, the collapse of her story. Stories are fragile. They can be rehearsed and polished and repeated. Add pressure and cracks appear. When a woman has crossed the line, her story eventually collapses under its own contradictions. You have seen it. She comes home late, and the words tumble out too fast. Details change with each retelling. One night it is a coworker who needed help. The next, it was a last-minute errand. You notice the gaps, the mismatched timelines, the way tone does not match content. Most telling, you see it in her eyes. They do not hold your gaze. They dart and drop and flicker with unease. That is not ordinary stress. That is deception, struggling to keep balance. Men often make the same mistake here. They demand airtight evidence. They want a smoking gun. The truth does not always arrive with a receipt. It arrives through inconsistency. It arrives in the way a story unravels the longer it is examined. The harder she tries to control the narrative, the more obvious it becomes that the narrative is slipping away. What is the move? Stop playing detective. You do not need to assemble a courtroom case. You already have the signals, the changes, the silences, the patterns. When her story collapses, do not argue with it. Step out of it. Do not beg her to make it make sense. Do not shout for confessions. Decide this. I do not believe you, and I do not need to anymore. That is not an accusation. That is a boundary. The empowering shift is simple. The moment you stop demanding explanations, you reclaim your power. You stop being the man who chases clarity from someone who thrives on confusion. You become the man who sets the line. The line is respect or nothing. A practical step is quiet recognition. When her story starts to wobble, do not fill the silence with questions. Let it fall. Do not rescue her from the weight of her contradictions. Silence is your ally. It exposes what words are trying to hide. You do not need to shout cheater to regain your dignity. You need clarity and the courage to act on it. When her story collapses, the truth is no longer the issue. Your decision is the issue. Will you keep lying to yourself, or will you stand up for the man you know you are? That is the final cut. After all 8 signs, the real question is not whether she betrayed you. The real question is whether you will betray yourself by staying blind. Conclusion. You have heard the 8 signs. This is not about turning you into a paranoid detective who searches for tiny details. It is about opening your eyes so you stop betraying yourself. The harshest betrayal is not what she does in secret. It is what you allow yourself to ignore in plain sight. The purpose was never to catch her red-handed. The purpose is to reclaim your dignity, your boundaries, and your power as a man who refuses to settle for less than he deserves. That is why these signs matter. They are not only clues of infidelity. They are warnings that something is off, that it must be addressed, and that ignoring it will cost you more of your self-respect. Here is a crucial truth many men miss. Not every sign guarantees betrayal. Sometimes distance comes from stress, exhaustion, illness, or years of poor communication. Your job is not to accuse. Your job is to test, to observe, and to face reality directly. If there is room to repair, you repair. You have the conversation. You reset the boundaries. You do the work to reconnect. If the evidence stacks up and every sign confirms what your gut already knows, then the most masculine choice is to walk away with dignity intact. Love is never worth the price of your self-respect. Here is my challenge to you. Choose one situation in your life where you have ignored your own instincts. Perhaps it is her sudden coldness. Perhaps it is constant irritation. Perhaps it is stories that never quite add up. Do not push it aside this time. Face it. Decide whether it is a problem you can solve together or whether it is the end of the line. Either way, the decision belongs to you, not to her stories and not to your fears. Before you go, subscribe, tap like, and share this with a man who still refuses to see what is right in front of him. In the comments, share your story. Have you noticed one of these signs? How did you handle it? Your story may be the one that wakes another man before it is too late. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of taking back what was always yours. Your self-respect, your clarity, and your freedom to choose love without ever losing yourself.